I've been sent these shells and these real pearls quite a while ago by a subscriber. So I thought I would make a little seascape in these shells. Maybe I might incorporate the pearls, but what I will definitely do is I will incorporate these little resin shells that I made a long time ago. And I have this little shell mold. But actually what I do is, if I've got any leftover resin, I just chuck it in these little molds and think, oh, I might use those at another point in time. So I'm going to add these to it. Before I can do that, I need to ensure that these shells are really nice and clean. And what I'm going to do is just clean them up using a baby wipe and let them dry up. I think they'll look quite cute in these little shells, the scenes. I've got my resin all mixed up now, and what I'm adding is some transparent pigment here, which will give it a bluey colour, but obviously the colour of the shell will come through. And I need to make these level because they've got a curved bottom, so I'm just using a bit of blue tack. But if you haven't got any blue tack, a bit of clay would do, or anything that's a little bit sticky that you can push your shells into to make them nice and level so it doesn't all run out when you're putting in the resin, because I have had that happen before as well. So once I've got all these nice and level, what I will be doing is just pouring enough into these shells to ensure that they're covered but not fully filled. I'd just like to say a quick thank you to all my members whose names are coming up now. Thank you for your support, and I hope you're enjoying the setting up a small business that we're running at the moment in the membership lives. And if you'd like to become a member, then the link for that is in the description below. So here I go. I'm quite happy with this, and I'm making sure that I've got it all the way round where I want it, and now I'm just popping in the little shells that I'd previously made with leftover resin from a little shell mould. And I will link that mould in the description as well as everything else that I've used today. I'm just using a pair of tweezers because I find it's easier to manoeuvre things about. And then here is the real pearl that I'm putting in, and I'm ensuring that's fully covered with the resin. And now I'm going to attempt to make the waves. Now, it's quite difficult to make waves in resin when there's only a little bit like this and you haven't got much space to move it around. So I'm going to show you how I give a really good 3D effect to the waves, which will come up towards the end of this video. So I've just used a bit of white pigment in the resin, and now I'm using this stick just to put a little bit in. Now don't overdo it, because if not, what you'll find is it will just end up going really murky and you won't see any of the blue that should come through. I'd also like to say a quick thank you to all the people that bought me a coffee last month, and all their names are on the coffee board. And if you'd like to buy me a coffee this month, it really does help keep this channel going and get your name on my coffee board. The link for that is also in the description. I do put quite a lot of information that can be useful in the descriptions of all my videos. So again, I'm just drawing it around where I want it, and some of them I want it more towards the edges of the thing that I'm doing, so it looks like the froth and the foam has come up to the edge of the actual shell itself. I've also put the link to all my digital colouring books, which I use in quite a lot of projects as well. That can be found in the description below, and they're dirt cheap and they're easy to download. So here we go, just checking over again making sure I'm not overdoing it and putting too much in. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and move these around and get some shape to them rather than just look like lines. I'm just using my embossing gun here because it doesn't heat up too much and it's not too much pressure, unlike some heat guns. And so this is an ideal tool for this particular task. And then what I do is I go through each one and let it do its own thing, rather than just stand there with the heat and the air pushing on it really, really hard. And then I'll let it settle back, and then I'll go back through it again just to see where I need a little bit more movement or that I haven't had enough movement happen. And I think leaving it just a couple of seconds to go back and look at it does enable you to get a better effect. And once I'm happy, I will let these cure up. Well, these have all cured now and they're nearly there. I've just got one more step that I'm going to do to make them look a little bit more water-like. I'm never very good at creating waves with or surf with small objects like this, but I think these ones have actually come out okay. But how I'm going to do that and get it even further is I've got some gloss gel here, and I will link it in the description below. And I really like this because it's a good way of getting kind of waves onto things. Now, this will dry completely clear. It won't dry a colour, so even though it goes on white, it won't dry white. But if you want it to dry white, you can get it to dry white by adding a little bit of white acrylic paint to it. But don't add too much, because you won't see anything through it when it finally dries. So you won't see any of your water or anything. But you could put a little bit around the surf area, which is what I will probably do in a second. So all I do is I dib-dabby it on like this. Dib-dabby is a professional artist's word, just the same as squidgy-widgy. So dib-dab it all the way around, and then you can let that dry up. And once it's dry, it will be clear. Now, if you don't want it, and I will come back to these once they're all done. If you don't want it all around the whole thing, then you can just pop some around the edges. Like that. Or the bits where you think the surf will go. Or you can just put a few bits in every few places to get a few ripples. And I normally allow this to dry overnight, because sometimes it can take a bit of time to dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix a little bit of white paint in with a little bit, and I'm going to put a little bit just towards the front of this one, so you can get an idea of what it looks like. And when I say a little bit, I do mean a little bit of white paint. So that's the gel, and the amount of white paint I'm going to use is just that. And give it a good mix in. And because we've already got some on there, what I can do is just go around and put some dabs on, like that, of this. Some bits will dry clear because I'm only dabbing it on, dib-dabbing it on, and some bits will dry with the white on it. And this one, again, I'm just going to go around and touch some of the tips of this with it. And that'll be alright. And then the rest I'm just going to leave as they are. The gel's all dry now, which is excellent. And as you can see here, where I've put it, a little bit of white in the gel and then just dabbed it on, it's actually come out really nicely, and I love it. I just think it does improve and gives a great texture to the piece that I can never achieve with white resin or doing it with resin. And I did them all slightly differently, so that one looks more like a choppy water, I would say, with the shell in there. That one was with no paint in the gel at all, and all I did was made it look like there's some waves going across. Same with that one, and I just put a few bits around it rather than the whole thing. And that one. So let me know what you think of them in the comments if you like that method. Don't forget to boot the thumbs up. It really does help my videos to get out there, and I do appreciate it ever such a lot. And knock that subscribe button and the notification bell as well. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, or you want to know where I get any of my stuff from, then the links for everything that I do are in the description below. You just need to click the show more button under the video if you're on a computer, or the little down arrow if you're on a tablet or a phone. Hope you've enjoyed this. Take care. Enjoy your resin. Bye.